on our visual platform to participate with us on such a great occasion. Before I invite her to give us her valuable message, I would like to say a few words about her. So Dena Miriam, she is founder and convener of the Global Peace Initiative of Women, which is called GPIW, bringing spiritual resources to address critical global challenges such as conflict, social justice, ecological scarring of the earth. And over the years, she has worked to bring greater gender balance and balance between the Abrahamic and Dharma-based religious traditions for a more inclusive interfaith movement. She served as vice chair of the Millennium World Peace Summit of Religious and Spiritual Leaders, which was held at the United Nations in New York in year 2000. She subsequently convened a meeting of women, religious and spiritual leaders in Geneva, and from that gathering founded the Global Peace Initiative of Women in 2002. One of the objectives of GPIW is to explore how meditation and contemplative practices are reshaping the spiritual landscape of our societies. Most of all, she's very dear and well known to all of you, through her great book, The Untold Story of Sita. And I had the great opportunity to share the wisdom of this book for 16 weeks in 3 languages with all my beloved viewers on PMC channel. Dena, this book has raised my vibrations as well as the vibrations of millions across the globe and has changed lives of many. This has brought back the connection with the nature that we all once had. I'm so fortunate to be that ambassador to bring forth the messages from your book. So, dear friends, let me have this pleasure of inviting Dena to give her message to our Crystal Children Corner Academy family. Dena ji, I'm sure you liked our the skit that our children put together.
I'm overwhelmed. I must say I'm overwhelmed by everything that I've seen. The messages from the children, the chanting, and of course the acting out of the untold story of Sita. It's the first time I'm seeing it acted out, and I'm so deeply touched. I can't express how touched I am because it brought me again into the presence of Ram and Sita. And it's a place that I always want to live in their presence. And the transmission came through. And so I'm very grateful and thank you to everyone. And thank you, Saroja, for organizing this and for inviting me to share. After listening to the children's messages, I'm wondering how much more I have to offer them to give. They seem to know it all, but I'll repeat a few key things. 3 points, really. But first I want to say that it's considered to be a great boon, great blessing to be born into a spiritual family and to have access to spiritual teachings from an early age. Souls fight for this opportunity to be born into such a family. And one must appreciate the gift it is and use it wisely to have access at an early age to this knowledge. Most people come to it much later in life. So what you're doing, Saroja, will bring tremendous benefit to the world because so much depends on the shift in consciousness that the younger generation has to begin to manifest in our world. So I want to share a few things that I've learned along the way in my long life. 3 messages really, and you know them all, but I'll just reiterate them. The first is how important it is to develop a regular daily meditation practice when you're young. I started meditating when I was 19 or 20, and I learned at that point, and I made a promise to my Guruji that I would meditate every day. And there's so many days you don't feel like it, and there's so many things that come in the way to divert your attention, to obstruct you. You're tired, you're in a rush, you've got school responsibilities, and then later you've got to get to work, relationships, children, all the things that come in life to distract you. If you make the commitment when you're young, it becomes embedded in you. And so it's something that you do. Just like you get up in the morning and you wash your face and brush your teeth. It's just something that you do. You don't think about, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? You do it. And so developing the practice to meditate first thing in the morning when you're young will benefit you. I can't express how much benefit you will get for the rest of your life. It's much harder to develop that pattern when you're older because the responsibilities of life are already pressing in on you. But if you have that pattern when you're young, it will stay with you through your life. And why is it important? Because there's so much about our culture and our society that pulls you out into the outer world, that makes you think that happiness is in the outer world. If I get more of that, if I come together with that person, if I get that job, there's so many things, if I get a little bit more money, so many things that will come at you, telling you, screaming at you again and again, happiness lies there, but it's all false. Happiness only lies within. And so if you develop the meditation habit, that's something you're protected from this scrambling around, seeking happiness in the outer world. And even if you get sidetracked, as everybody does now and then, you'll always come back to the source of happiness, which is inside us. And you'll cultivate the inner world. The inner world is where you will develop in that connection through your meditation practice, you'll be able to develop your intuitive faculties. The traditional education that we get from schools, they develop our logical thinking. That alone is not enough to get you the kind of, to bring happiness to you. In order to connect with the higher realities, in order to invoke the presence of the devas and devis, you have to develop the intuitive faculty, which comes about through meditation. In the higher ages, that intuitive faculty was highly developed. The rational, logical faculty may be less so, but they were able to have whatever they needed through the cultivation of their inner connection with the devas and the devatas. So the first message I can give you, which I know that you all know because you hear this from your classes, is make a serious effort to develop a meditation practice when you're young. It can be 5 minutes. 5 minutes is good enough at the beginning, and then it becomes 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes, and on and on. But even 5 minutes will help you turn inside and connect you to your deeper self. That's the first message. The second message is the importance of being in a loving relationship with the natural world, something that as a human species, we've fallen away from. And I didn't learn this until much later in life, because when I was young, we could still drink from the streams. There was no, pollution was much less, no concept of bottled water. If somebody said bottled water, you'd say, what? Why are you bottling water? Just go to the stream and drink it. There was a much purer world at that time. But over the decades, the amount of suffering that we've inflicted on so many life forms has been intense, and we've disconnected ourselves, so we're not even aware of it. So the second message is being in a loving relationship with all of life, with the earth, with the soil, with the trees, with the rivers, with the streams, with the mountains, with the ocean, with the forms of life in the ocean, holding them in your consciousness. And I have many stories that I won't go into now of how I was awakened until this. And of course, when I wrote the Untold Story of Sita, and of course I was receiving these teachings from Sita. So I was sitting at her feet, receiving these teachings. And it made me realize that in order to turn this ship of humanity around, one of the most essential shifts we need to make in our consciousness is being in a loving relationship. You know, politicians and ecologists will talk about things we need to clean up the rivers, take down the dams, do this, do that, but they leave out one important ingredient, and that is love. And that's something that has to come from within us, because our true nature is to be in a loving relationship with the earth and with all the forces of the natural world and all the life forms. That is the true reality, but we've fallen out of that. And so there are many ways that you can awaken this love. The earth needs our love now. She needs the technology to clean up the places that have been degraded. But more important than that, she needs our love. And we need the love of nature in order to balance ourselves again, because human society, as you can see, is so out of balance. That's why we have all these tragedies around us. We've fallen so out of balance. One way to come again into balance is rebalancing our relationship with nature. So coming again into a loving relationship with nature, sit by a stream, sit in the forest, sit in the garden, talk to a plant, talk to a tree, talk to an animal. Try to mentally communicate with that animal. There's so many ways that you can open your heart and be in that oneness with nature. And you don't realize how that lifts the whole vibration of the planet. The more of us who can do that, the more the energy of the planet is raised, and we will begin to see healing take place. So it depends on the efforts of each one of us in our meditation, because that's also lifting the energy of the planet. So you think, what can a little bit of meditation, my meditation, do? Your meditation is crucial. Every bit of meditation is crucial because you're lifting the energy field. We're one big energy field, one collective mind. And the more bits of this collective mind who are raising their energy, the more the whole thing will shift, the quicker the whole thing will shift. So our meditation matters, sitting with nature, opening your heart, expressing your love for nature, just to the sun, coming again when we do the Gayatri, to be in a loving relationship with the sun, with the moon. I've started being more conscious of my relationship with the moon. All of these things make a difference because they're subtly shifting the consciousness of the species. And we are at an evolutionary moment where the consciousness needs to evolve. We're coming out of Kali Yuga, beginning into entering a new age, the Dwapara Yuga. The consciousness has to shift so that we can manifest a more enlightened world. The third point I want to make, and this is something, again, I'm sure all of you know, is to live in the presence of the Devis and Devas. Whichever form, for me, as you know, it's Ram and Sita, it's Krishna, it's Narayan, it's Narayani. And every day I try to, in my meditation, and then throughout the day, when you leave your meditation, don't think that's the end. The consciousness has to be continued throughout the day of being in the presence, which is why I read the untold story of Sita again and again. And every time I read it, I cry. And I feel such gratitude that I can feel the presence of Sita and Ram. Because to me, that book came about, it was, to me, what I felt was that Ram wanted that book to be told. Ram wanted the story of Sita to be told. And I see them as one. And sometimes I envisioned Sita's love for Ram and tried to fill my heart with Sita's love for Ram, because we are an extension of them. We are no different. Our true nature is to be that. We are pure light, we are pure consciousness. And the Devas, Devis, are trying to awaken us to our true nature so that we can be part of the unfolding of the universe from their perch, not from the perch of unconsciousness, but from where they sit in the universe of consciously working to evolve, to awaken the consciousness of the universe. So live with Narayan and Narayani, live with Mahalakshmi and Vishnu, live with whichever form that the cosmic consciousness appeals to you or approaches you. Live with that form day in and day out. Talk to that form, visualize the form, realize that that form is helping you with your problem, no matter how petty, no matter how small that problem might seem. Nothing is too minor, because the goal is the awakening, to help us overcome our limitations, to help us overcome the false perception that we're just this very, very limited, narrow human being, disconnected from everything else. That's a false perception. And it's by reaching out to the great ones that we can receive their help and their blessings. So I think I want to leave you with those three simple messages of develop a regular meditation habit that will be with you for the rest of your life, even if it's very brief. If you're very young, if you're 10 years old, it can be 5 minutes, it could be 3 minutes, it could be 1 minute. But make it regular and make it a commitment. And then make time every day to reconnect with nature. If you can't get outside, do it mentally. Think of the sun, think of the moon. Make a mental note to reconnect with nature every day. And thirdly, invoke the Devas and the Devis and be in their presence and live in the presence. And those three things, you'll see how your life is transformed, and you'll know the joy that they are seeking every moment to bestow on us. I wish you many blessings in your journey ahead.
Thank you so much, Dena ji.